Hello everyone, very happy to be here to meet you all on this channel. And on behalf of TAIPEI, I would like to welcome you to our webinar today. Thanks to its highly integrated industrial cluster with 2,500 manufacturers continuously put their efforts on enhancing quality and innovation, Taiwan Autoparts enjoy a famous reputation for diversification and flexibilities in the global market. In 2019, this sector recorded another spectacular performance with an export value of $7 billion, which accounts for 80 to 90% of the global market. Taiwan also plays an important role in automotive aftermarket, with the top 3 export markets being the US, Japan, and China. Nearly 50% of the world's total exports of Taiwan goes to the US, with an export value of $3.4 billion. A strong ICT base also grants Taiwanese manufacturers the ability to meet the OEM and the ODM market's need. That all explains why the 36th edition of AMPA has become one of the most dynamic and influential trade platforms and ranked as the world's 4th largest exhibition. The event has attracted over 1,400 exhibitors in 4,000 booths and 7,000 international buyers to visit and sourcing. And as the global auto industry trend is heading toward ACES, short for autonomous, connected, electric, and shared services, this coming AMPA in October will not only bring traditional auto parts on display, but will also integrate electric vehicles and intelligent transportation system exhibits, showcasing the future of the automotive industry. While the current pandemic has disrupted the global market, making necessary adjustment is key to staying ahead. With that in mind, TAIPEI, as the organizer of more than 40 Type 1 trade shows, will continuously connect exhibitors and buyers, future exhibitors' products, and provide the most updated information on target markets. Our integrated online services include online exhibitions, pre-show online sourcing meetings, online new product launches, webinars, as well as TTS Insight Series. Today, we presented to you the webinar for auto parts industry in the US market. I would like to introduce the presenter, Mr. Mark Phillips, the editor and the publisher of Aftermarket Intel. Mark is one of the most professional and experienced analysts, having served the automotive industry for almost 12 years and has been attending AMPA over the past decade. I am confident he is the best representative for this webinar session. Let's enjoy his presentation now.
Hi everybody, my name is Mark Phillips. I am the editor and publisher of Aftermarket Intel, a global automotive aftermarket online publication. Today I'll be talking about COVID-19, the US automotive aftermarket, and opportunities in the US for Taiwanese auto parts manufacturers. Next slide, please. I have been a journalist for 25 years and have worked in the automotive aftermarket for 12 years. I see my job as being a bridge between the people who make and sell automotive aftermarket parts and those who want to buy them. Next slide, please. I attend the TAIPEI AMPA Autotronics show every year and have learned a lot about Taiwan in the last 10 years. TAIPEI has asked me to come aboard and give you an overview of the opportunities that exist in the United States. Next slide, please. In light of COVID-19 or the coronavirus, the United States has shut down like many other countries, but we are beginning to open up as summer approaches. Next slide, please. Each of the 50 states, Washington, D.C., and our territories have their own plans for how we begin reopening. Normally, these plans are centered around how many people were ill in each area. Next slide, please. The automotive aftermarket could benefit from the slowdown in global automotive manufacturing. Fewer cars are being produced, and even fewer are being sold. When this happens, as we all know, people tend to keep their cars longer, and the automotive aftermarket benefits from this. Next slide, please. The automotive aftermarket in the United States has been deemed an essential service. The U.S. government issued guidelines to the states for how they were to respond to the coronavirus. But it's up to the states to decide how to enact those rules. At first, there were some problems. Police would respond to businesses and tell them that they needed to be shut down, but that's not happening as much anymore. For the last several weeks, things have improved. Next slide, please. There have been changes to the automotive aftermarket in the United States because of the coronavirus. Some companies have decided to enact curbside pickup where people can drive their cars up and pick up parts. Also, parts sales have been down. Initially, there was a large drop in sales because people were either unable to leave their homes or couldn't leave their homes. But business will improve. Why? Because as we all know, when a car sits, it begins to degrade. While the U.S. has large cities and public transportation in most of them, the vast majority of people in the United States must have a vehicle to commute to work. For many people, a vehicle is simply a necessity. Items like batteries, belts, and hoses, and even some brake items will be needed very soon. Those are just a few of the categories. Next slide, please. What do you need to know about the U.S. automotive aftermarket? Well, for starters, it's big. We have more than 350 million vehicles and 330 million people. Next slide, please. Right now, the average age of a vehicle in the United States is 12 years old. That is a huge opportunity for parts sales and repair. As we all know, the older a vehicle gets, the more it will demand repair. And the more that a vehicle is driven, the more it's going to need repair. Next slide, please. In fact, Americans drove 3.22 trillion, that's trillion, miles in the year 2018. Next slide, please. The value of light-duty automotive aftermarket sales and repair in the United States is worth more than $320 billion a year. Next slide, please. Now I'd like to talk to you about what the U.S. consumer expects. The U.S. consumer expects that their vehicle is repaired the same day. And they want to be able to pick up their vehicle by 5 p.m. They want to drop off their vehicle in the morning and pick it up after work. There is no tolerance for a repair that takes longer than a day. As a result, your parts must be available now. Your company's parts must be firmly rooted in the U.S. automotive aftermarket distribution system. Said another way, they must be available right now. Next slide, please. Parts are expected to be delivered from a warehouse or a parts store to a repair shop in 30 minutes or less, kind of like a pizza. Next slide, please. Distribution of auto parts in the United States is done primarily through two means, either retailers who sell to both DIFM, do it for me, and DIY, do it yourself customers, or program groups. Program groups are affiliated with warehouses and parts stores. What is DIFM? When people have a technician or repair shop do the repairs for them. DIY is when they want to handle the repair themselves. Orders of parts from a repair shop are obviously higher because they are professionals doing repairs on vehicles. Many times they order more parts. They also handle more complicated repairs. Next slide, please. In general, there are retailers and independent jobber stores or warehouses that sell auto parts. You already know the names AutoZone, Advance Auto Parts, and O'Reilly. Then there are others, such as program groups, such as the Aftermarket Auto Parts Alliance. Other groups such as Pronto and Federated Auto Parts play the same role. Jobbers sell typically 50% of their auto parts sales to professionals. What's a program group? A program group is like a marketing group that independent business owners use to sell parts. These independent business owners are shareholders of a program group. Next slide, please. There are about 33,000 auto parts stores in the United States, whether they are retailers or program group affiliated stores. Both sell to DIFM or do-it-for-me customers. Next slide, please. So where does Taiwan come in all of this? Taiwan has a lot going for it, and we need your parts, but we also need to know about them. So how can Taiwan auto parts suppliers be successful in the United States? For one, they need to solve a problem, and they need to replace a part. On the issue of solving a problem, if your part saves time, a technician wants it. For example, if a component on a larger part is often failing and your company finds a way to fix it, that is going to be a fast-moving part. You should try to gather information from repair shops or technicians about which parts are problematic and work from there. Earlier, I mentioned that consumers in the United States want their vehicle by 5 p.m. that day. That's where this comes in. If a technician can more easily get their car out of the bay, they will want your part. Next slide, please. So how can your company sell more parts in the United States? It must have distribution. Distribution is the only way to sell parts in the United States in large volumes. Yes, there are online retailers who sell parts, but the United States has built a highly complex and efficient auto parts distribution system that you must be part of. This system gets parts as closely as possible to where the vehicles are going to be repaired. It's happened over a period of decades. The traditional automotive aftermarket still dominates the world of do-it-for-me repair. If someone wants to repair their own vehicle, they may be willing to wait a few days or even a week to get an online part. Next slide, please. Furthermore, how can Taiwanese auto parts suppliers be successful? You need to have your parts listed first. What do I mean by that? Next slide, please. You must be the first, second, maybe the third part that is listed when parts are being ordered. Think about search results on Google. You're more likely to click on a link at the top of the page. It's basically the same way for auto parts. People working in auto parts stores often click on the first brand they see unless they know their customer has a particular brand preference. So it's very important for you to be listed as close to the top as possible. Depending on how quickly a category of part moves, that determines how many brands are going to be available in the system. The faster moving parts typically have more brands. Slower moving parts have fewer brands. When somebody orders a part at a parts store, you must be in the first, second, or maybe the third listed options. Next slide, please. What else can you do? You can offer a promotion such as a gift card for a certain number of parts being ordered. Parts stores and repair shops love these. Next slide, please. And what else? Do a good job of telling your company's story to the US audience. Tell people like me what products you have and let me help you get the news out. Next slide, please. Journalists like me want you to succeed in business. Why? Because if you can supply quality parts to repair shops and technicians and parts stores in the United States, it's good for everybody. And don't forget, your company's story isn't just about the products you sell. It's about the problems you solve. Your company has a compelling story. I'm sure of it. Find it and tell it to the world. One of the biggest missed opportunities that companies make is not issuing press releases. Business editors are busy people. One way to get their attention is to let them know about news your company may have. You may be surprised by how many companies don't take advantage of news releases. What should a news release be about? Anything. Do you have a new product? That's a press release. What about new, improved packaging? That's also a press release. Did you hire somebody in an important position? That is a press release. On the topic of packaging, a new package that includes things like changes of colors, Change in types of packaging used or other attributes is important to people who find your products on the shelves at parts stores. They need to know if your product looks different. What else? Are you exhibiting at a trade show? Make sure you keep in contact with key stakeholders, including the press, and let them know about it. Let people know if you're releasing a new product, are showing a new technology, or a part of a new outdoor exhibit. There is more news happening at your company than you might realize. Next slide, please. You should also become a member of an association, such as AASA MEMA or the Auto Care Association. They'll advocate on your behalf and tell your story to the world. Many of you are probably already members. What not to do? Don't try cold calling on LinkedIn. I've seen it before and I don't think it's successful. Next slide, please. In closing, we need Taiwan's auto parts. We need trustworthy, dependable partners in business. Next slide, please. As always, if you have questions, I'm available. You can email me at mark@lpnewmedia.com or visit aftermarketintel.com. Good luck, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for your insight, Mark. I found the content very useful, and I hope you like it too. Attending a trade show is always crucial to your business. That's why we have TAIPEI AMPA. So allow me to remind you that the TAIPEI AMPA show has been rescheduled for October 21st to 24th at Taipei Nangang Exhibition Center Hall 2. We hope to see you then. So let's take a look at what the show has been achieved in 2019. Thank you for watching today. If you are interested in AMPA or our online services, you can visit our website. So see you next time. Bye bye.